So let's finish on this application so that we can focus on other things. So this is what we had by yesterday, adding new lists. After adding those lists, we can say we can be able to like select an active list or so. So let's finish this by making sure that we can be able to set the incomplete and the complete ones. So I'll just walk to the index file that was here, the JS file, and let's see where we had reached. We were talking about activating a tab. So yeah, we are, yeah. So we were able to say like, okay, if a to do is complete, then just show us the, here show us all the to do's. That is if the active tab is tab 1. If it's tab 2, just show us those that are not complete. And in the last tab, that's in the else statement, show us all those to do's based on the filter which are complete. So to do's for a specific list. So today is to change or activate this other called marking a to do as complete or incomplete. So for example, if I say something here, I need to be able to say on hover here, I can be able to mark it as done or I can be able to delete it. So let's work on the done button, or let's work on the done button, then we shall work on the complete button. And I believe, yeah, let's work on the done button first. So how can we mark a to do as complete? So where were we? Let me minimize these ones a bit so that I can have we have the update to do here, so that's what we're going to use. We also have a delete add list here, and also we have, we see it, yeah. So we had the add to do. Let's find the add to do first. Add to do here. So in the add to do, we were just like going into the list and just adding a new to do there. So how can we like mark a to do as complete? So it's similar approach. So I'll just copy the first things here and I say if active list index equals to null. So this update to do is actually going to take in an index. So that is the position of the to do. So I can just say to do position like that. That's what we're going to use to update it. Then we can be able to get the active list based on the active list index like that. Now that we have the active list, we are not, we are not trying to generate a new to do. We are just going like to update that exact to do. So how can we achieve that? Now that we have the active list, and this is referenced directly from this list, so the moment I update this one, it will automatically update the to do. So let me confirm whether it's still recording. Yeah, it's recording. So here I'm going to just map through all these to do's that are here. So that is const to do's equals to active list dot to do's like that. Then I'm going to map through all of them and check for the index. So to do's dot map. I just want to map through each to do and on a specific position or on a specific index. That's the I. So I'm just going to say if I equals to this to equals to the to do position, then just say to do dot is complete equals to true. So we have activated all. Yes, yes. Okay, thank you. So so far we have mapped through all the to-dos and we have activated or changed the to-do status of that specific to-do. Then the moment we map or we update these to-dos, it's good that I also change the list or I change the way the list looks like. Yeah, so I'm just going to change generally. So active to do, active list, but to do's. equals this exact to do's now, this one's here. So it's like updating the list generally or at once. So changing all the to do's once I update that specific to do. So we are going to use this function outward. So update to do is going to be used by another function. Now the function that we can be able to access using the, yeah, so I'm just going to create a function here. So just below this one, I'm going to say function update to do based on a specific or a given position. That is the to do position, like that. You're going to do is app dot update to do on that given position, like that. Then I need to use this function in this button here. For example, I needed to use the function here at the done button. So I'm just going to pull the function here. I said we are using a generator function to make our lists. So it's best if I find the generator function. Here it is, the to do item. It takes in the to do and also the to do position. Then I can actually say here on click, update the to do and pass in the to do position. But this is passed in as a string, so it's good if I actually pass it in as like that so that it can be read. So if I save and say here YouTube, add the list, select YouTube, say new task, add, then let's hover here and see what or how our done button looks like. So I'm just going to click on this task like that, then find the done button. The moment I exit there, it goes. So I'll just like, here it is. So if you look at this particular point, you will notice that it's saying button btn done. On click, update the to do. So we are going to take care of that. So update to do 0, then it means the function has been called well. Then I can go ahead and say done. Nothing is happening, but if I go to complete, what's happening here? Yeah. So, but if I go to complete, we realize we have the new task there. Under incomplete, we don't have any task, but in all, we have all the tasks. But under complete, we have that new task. If we were to say new task 2 here, it's going to be rendered under the complete, but incomplete. So incomplete, we have a new task 2. Then I can say new task 3 here, and it will be added here. I say 4, and it will be added at this particular point. If I go and update the fourth one, the new task 4 here, and I say done, then it will be moved to complete here. What's happening? I think I clicked on this. Yeah, so something weird is happening, meaning it's kind of updating this the way it wants. Oh, yeah, yes, yes, yeah. No, nope, nope, nope. Yeah, so this project was specifically for JavaScript part, and the other project was now to help us learn HTML and CSS, like the basics of HTML and CSS. And maybe that one, since it's more of has more features, then it can be used till the end. Let me just show you the project. If it's here, nope, not this one. Let me try to find it. When did we do it last? Yeah, this one. So this is the project that we might take to the end. So yeah, This one will work with the backend bit and show how to interact it using it with the backend. Yeah, this is the one we are going to use till the end. Yeah, the to-do app can be used with a framework, yes, like React, yes, and React, yeah. So these two projects, this one which is a complete site, and then the other one now this one which is a to-do app, they'll be used like that. So there is something weird happening here. For example, if I were to refresh this page and maybe start by saying YouTube, there I select YouTube, I add a new task like that. Then I add another task like one and another two and another three. You realize that the moment I say click done on task three, it somehow works, yes. But if I come under incomplete and I say click done on this specific, now this new task two, something weird happens. That one is working. New task one. So somehow it's updating the wrong index. Uh, it was only visible when we had a lot of tasks. So let me like have several of those so that we can see the problem. Six, six, 7, 8. So we have up to 8 tasks under the incomplete tab. If I click on this specific task and I click on done, you realize it didn't move the task 8 as done, but it moved a different task, that is task 5. But if I say again, move task 8 to done or mark it as done, it moves a different task, definitely one of these tasks here, not task 8. So who can maybe give us a reason as to why it does what it does? It's updating the wrong task instead of updating the right task. For those who have been in class, a hint, it's about indexes or the to-do positions. Okay, right. So it might be difficult to say why is this not working. So this is the thing. We said we are updating tasks based on their status. That is, yani based on their like these task names here, the positions I mean. So the problem is that when we re-render all the tasks, we usually change the task position. Then that means whenever we try to like access that specific index or that specific position, then all of a sudden we find ourselves in problem because that index is not the real index of that specific task. For example, here, as I have said, the task 8 is here, it will read in 0, 1, 2, 3, position 3 or index 3, but here it will read a different position. Position maybe, is it there 9? So it will read position 8 or index 8, of which that's not the thing about or the exact. So this one is like if I click from here it will move to done correctly, but if I were to be incomplete and I try to move this task 7 as done, then it's not going to move. It's because it's not task 7 being moved, it's trying to update index 3 or position, no, actually position 2, 0, 1, 2, instead of the new task 7 itself. So problems with indexes. So the best thing we can do here, instead of us updating tasks based on their positions, as we did with lists, lists actually are in a single list, so there's no harm for them being in a single like. But for our to-dos, they are in different tabs, and each tab, the moment I click on a single tab, it re-renders specific to-dos for that specific tab. So it's good that if I were to avoid like rendering them like this, but I render them, I update them based on the task name itself. So based on new task as the name. So how can we achieve that specifically? So I can just come down here where I'm updating my task, the function update to do. Instead of to do position, I'm just going to say the to do description. Yeah, I believe description is good, like that. So take that, change that to, actually why do I use to do description? Let's just say to do itself. So we are going to update based on the to do itself, so that in the update method where it has been used, actually it has been used here, update to do, then instead of passing in the position, I'm just going to pass in the to do itself, and then therefore position here won't be mattering. Then I just find out where I have used the to do item, like that. Control find the to do item, and I'm finding the app one. So it has been used here, here, and here, and there's no need of us passing in the I, actually, like that, or the position, that's the specific index. Then I'm also going to update the update function. The update to do here now, instead of it taking the to do position, it's exactly taking the to do. And here where we are checking I equals the to do position, instead I'm just going to check through the to do dot to do equals to this exact to do here. But also this to do matches this, meaning you are not really getting the right information. So I can update this one to an underscore, or to do to update, like this, and pass it here. So checking whether the to do dot to do, now that's the to do, that text equals to this exact one that we want to update, then mark it as complete. So if I save this and I try it out, I'm going to say here YouTube and select YouTube. And once YouTube is selected, I'm going to say here a new task. So if I add a new task here and click done, then it won't be okay, not working. So let's just quickly find out why it's not. It's saying uncaught syntax error identifier object. Oh, it said an object. Yeah, this is an object actually. Where I'm rendering it here, I'm passing it in as a to do object instead of that text. So it should be to do dot to do. This is weird and kind of confusing. Why did we pass in here to do? Actually, this, you can call this one as a to do item so that it won't be that confusing. Uh, yeah. So the to do item dot that text, that's the to do. Now let's try it again. Add a new task. Done. So FSDF is not defined. So why is it saying FSDF is not defined? So sometimes when we pass this as a to do here, let me just hover there. Why is it exactly here? Yeah. So you realize that the moment we passed in the update to do here, we passed it in as an object. So it's trying to find the FSDF and updating it, but it's not finding it. So we need to pass in this as a string instead of just as a plain text or a plain object. So we need to convert it to a string. So we achieve that. Yes. Yeah, thank you, Rovi, for bringing that up. So these developer tools are kind of wide. So they have different use cases for each. For example, application will allow you maybe to see your local, whatever you have stored on your local storage. Local storage is like a database on the browser. Then, and then many other information about this specific application or this specific website that you are currently viewing on that specific tab. Then the network, Robin said, it's when you are testing your APIs. So what are APIs? APIs are application. Yes, application programming interface. Yeah, thank you, Robin. So yeah, yeah. So like communicating to, like for example, communicating to something like Stripe or PayPal. So you communicate to PayPal using an API, or that's like a protocol given for communicating to other services, other websites. Yeah, and also we have this one about, yes, yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of others here and others you might need to add them. So, but for now we are using elements and console specifically. Elements to see what our HTML looks like, and the console for JavaScript. So yeah. So I was talking of this to do being a string. Let's now see how it looks like. So if I add a new list, say this list has some tasks. So let's look at our to do here. And if we now we look at the button itself, this button here, BTN done, it's saying DSF, not that. That's an exact string. Now we can say, okay, this sounds like the right thing to edit. But this in the long run is not a good idea still. I'll tell you why it's not a good thing or why it might not work. So let's actually go to, okay, let's try to update this one and click done. Go to complete. Now it's saying the SF is done. In complete we don't have, and in all we have everything. So in complete there, this one is already done. Let's create another one. I'm going to say this one is a new task. Click add. So go back to all. You will notice the new task is there. So add another task, new task one. So I'm just going to add several of them again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we have all those 8 tasks. Now if I go to under in complete tab, we have all from new task to new task 8. Now if I click done on this one, it's actually going to update it to this, move it here. And under this particular point, we don't have any problem. If I click on new task 3, we don't have it. It will be moved from here and directly here. So this means that in terms of positions and indexes, now it does not matter where it is, because we are looking at the name of the task, then updating it to move it to the next step. One more thing we could do is, the moment we click a new task or we update a task, for example like task 2 here, we need to immediately move it to the right position so that it can be moved from here to the other part. To achieve that, we can say the moment we update a task, we need to just print the to-dos again. So update the to-do, and immediately we reprint them like that. Save. Now if I say here YouTube and select YouTube, then add some tasks. New task 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we have all these 8 tasks. Then I can say if I go under incomplete, click new task 1 as done, still it's not like moving it to the right place. Click new task 2 as done. They have been moved but not immediately. So our aim was the moment I click done, they need to be moved to the right place. So 4 click done, it has not been moved, meaning somehow, somewhere it's failing and not working. So let's see why it's not working. So print, okay, I said print lists to doc. Sorry here, it should be print to do's to doc like that. So I say YouTube, then I can say a new task, and new task 1, new task 2, new task 3, new task 4, new task 5, any number of tasks you want. Then if I go here, click done, of course it has updated it, but the best way we can see it is here. I click done, then it has automatically moved the task to incomplete. Click on new task 3 and update it, it will move it to the complete ones. Then click on task 6, then it will be moved here. One thing we can do is if a task is complete, then we can show something different. Instead of done, then we can hide the done button so that we can only show the delete button now. But as I said, one thing or one problem with this kind of method is that if we now have, let's say, which task is incomplete here, we have new task 1 and new task 4. I create new two tasks 4. They have the same kind of sentence or the same kind of look. If I try to click on done as under the new task 4, you realize both of them have been moved to complete. So for your explanation why it has worked that way or why it has done that way, it's because we are mapping through and updating each task that matches this condition. So if the to-do names are equal or the to-do descriptions are the same, then they will be automatically be moved forward, like marked as complete using this to-do dot is complete equals to 2. That's why I said this kind of will work, yes, but if you have two tasks which are the same and a different lists, so let's say here Instagram, add Instagram, and I come into Instagram and I say I want to add a new task called new task 1. So the moment I do that, I have a new task 1 in Instagram which is incomplete, and a new task 1 under YouTube which is also incomplete. So it's best that, so if I do done here, then it will be moved to complete. But if I come to Instagram, oh yeah, this kind of works. I didn't expect this one to work. But so if they have the same name in the same list, they will be moved to complete or they will be deleted. That's the thing. But why it didn't move this to complete, because all to dos are under specific lists. They are not like in a single array. So all lists contain their own to dos. So each list contains its own list of to dos or its own array of to dos. That's why it didn't update the Instagram one. Sounds good. But when you are using something like a single list to show all the to dos, or a single array to hold all the to-dos, and all those to-dos have like a unique identifier to specific list, then it means if you were to use a single list as I said, then it will be either delete that to-do in all the lists or mark it as complete. But ours, it's like we captured that one earlier. So far we can say we can be able to add new list, add new to-dos, and mark to-dos as complete. Then one thing we can do or something else we can do is maybe to delete. Yes, somebody with a question. Okay, then yeah, okay, yes. Somebody with a question, somebody with something to say. Yes. Uh-huh. Uh, yes, that's a good suggestion. Yes, it's very possible. Okay. Usually about websites or about any software. So there are some softwares that usually, okay, none of them, I believe currently, at least you have to have a backend for your software. Because it might not be either users logging in or anything of that sort, but it will contain like blog posts where you need to update them from a backend so that they can be automatically generated on the front end, or it can be even updating some content in the website. For example, you have a list of partners in your website, then it will be good if you store them in a backend and load them in a front end so that you don't have to come and edit your HTML to add that single partner. So some things, so at least you have to have a backend. Even if it's an informative website, then you will need to process a form. That's the contact form on that website. For example, it's just a cleaning website. Then you will need like to have somewhere you can process all those people making orders for them to have, yeah, to have their quotation sent to them or sort. So at least you have to have a backend. And for example, in this to-do app, yes, you can extend it instead of it being used, for example, by myself. For example, in this case, I can only use this app. And if I were to publish this app, you can only use it in your own device. What if you wanted to make it public and maybe monetize it? Say, if you want to use my application to maybe list your or do your to-dos, your tasks, then you need to pay this amount. Then you can do a backend that will take care of a single user's list, this YouTube, Instagram, with their specific to-dos. So yeah, you will still need to, you can move this into a backend. And if time allows, maybe we can move it to a backend, but we said we will be specifically using this for most of the part in the backend. So yeah, you can move this to a backend. There's no like harm. All right. So about print, this print is a method that I created on my own, like it's my own function that I created for this specific application, so that I can call this function for it to handle some logic. So this is a logic, it flows top down. So it will make sure that will go and print the to-dos to the document. So if I want to print this new task to the document, then I'll have to use the print. So the print method will be called and it will do the printing stuff. I called the printing, should I have called it write to doc? Yes, you can call it something like write to the document, write to do's to the document, or something like to just signify that you have a function that does a specific task or that does some specific work. So it's just a method that I created on my own. If you have gone through, you can notice that its main task is like to make sure it moves all the to-dos from that have been added into this application and printing them in the right place. So I said it will be called the moment we switch like these lists so that pick a specific list, for example, the YouTube list, and print its own to-dos. It goes picks the Instagram list and prints its own to-dos. You will notice that Instagram, YouTube, they all have different to-dos or different tasks under them. So that's the work of print. That's the work of these print methods. So we have two of them. The first one is print to-dos to doc and the print lists to doc. So the list one is the one that's printing YouTube, Instagram, and any other list that you might be adding here. And also like, yeah, that. So just a few things to work on maybe is to make sure that the moment I add a new list here, I say new list, the active list remains active. For example, here YouTube is active, but on this other side, it's not like selected. So a few things to check on. But I believe this one will be coming on later on. So maybe I finish on the deleting functionality. So delete, delete, delete. Yeah. Uh, Another question: addition, subtraction, something to add on. Okay, so let's continue. The next part will be now deleting a specific to do item. How can it like work out? So we had this function of updating a to do, and I said it specifically takes a to do to update that specific that the to do. Then it marks its status, or it is complete status to true. So the next function is to delete the to do, and here it's where we are going to write the function. It will also take in a specific to do item. That is the to do to now to delete. Actually, we can change this one because it's just a parameter. So that's the to do to delete. Then we just make sure that we have that specific list with us. So just make sure that we have the list, a selected list. Then after having that selected list, then we need to get that specific list, like now select it from the list of or from the array. That's get the active list, the entire list that's based on a given index. Then we are going to get all the to-dos there like that. After getting the to-dos from this specific list, then what we are going to do now is now to delete that specific to-do from the list. How can we do that? Now we are also going to use the map function. Nope, not the map function, but rather the filter function. And this filter function is going to take in a to-do and writing it as an arrow function. So if the to-do, I said this one to do is kind of confusing, so let's call this one a to do item. With the to do item dot now the to do equals to the to do to delete. Uh, Sit return do nothing. So something to do, since we are using a different function here, we are using a filter function instead of a map function. I'm just going to say new to do's here, new to do's equals to do's dot filter. Since I'm using a filter function instead of a map, I'm going to change the way this function will work. So I'm just going to move this to the rest somewhere else, delete it from there up to there. So I'm saying to do item dot to do, instead of equals to, I'm just going to say not equal to the one that we are deleting. That's how we delete. Let's see whether it works before I conclude. Now I can be able to say active list dot to do's equals to this new to do's. Then I can now say this dot print to do's to the document like that. So let's see whether this one works. Oh, I've not called the function. So I needed to use this function somewhere else. And I'm going to just write another similar function like this one. So I'll just copy this, paste there, and say instead of update, I'm going to say delete to do. So app dot delete to do like that. Then in this delete to do, I need to use now this outer function. This is an in function and this is another outer function. Right where it should be used. That's in the delete button. I'm going to say on click equals to delete this specific to do given the to do name. So to do underscore item dot to do and close it like that. So similar like the update to do function, but this is a delete to do. So let's check out, let's see whether it works. So YouTube, enter, Instagram, enter, select YouTube, new task, add, new task one, add. So we have new task and new task one. We can mark new task one as complete or new task as complete. And we have the new task here as complete. Then I can be able to delete it. So you notice it kind of deletes it. We don't have any other tasks there. Now we can be able to go ahead and add several others. Then I can directly delete it from this particular point and it will be on. Or if it's completed, then I can be able to delete it from here. If it's incomplete also, I can be able to delete it. Also, it will work for other lists too. So delete it, mark it as done, and delete it. It will still work out. So to explain a little bit of what happened here, where I said use filter instead. So what filter does is filter and map do return new, they do return new arrays the moment you use them. So when I'm filtering, I'm just going through all the to-do items and trying to find, or in this arrow function, I'm returning all to-dos that don't match this one, the one that we are deleting. So if I'm looking through, it's best if I did another function here. Const array equals to, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I were to say console.log the array, console.log the array, this is what we'll get. Let me just open the terminal. We get an array of 6 that is from 1 to 6. That is index 0 to index 5. But if I were to go ahead and maybe say array dot filter each item, and if item is not equal to number 4, return it. And I were to go ahead and say console.log the array. If we were to say do that, is that, oh, okay, I need to do this in another const new array equals to that. And if I were to console log out the new array like that, you will realize that the new array is shorter than the first array. It's because number 4 has been deleted, and it's because we deleted it because we never returned it. Here we said if the item matches number 4, don't return it, but return the rest that don't match number 4. Same with if you could just go ahead and maybe say or item is not equal to number 2, same. So, oh, I think I've messed up my function here. I need to maybe do that, put them in a single bracket so that they will be executed as a segment. Still not working. So yes, I think I've messed my JavaScript here. Is this one right? Those guys with JavaScript knowledge. All right, so let's just go with the one. Eh? Mbona all right. Yes, not equal to 2. It should have worked like delete an item that is 4 or 2. Delete them or don't return them. So array.filter as an array function, filter is another array function that returns a new array whenever you use it to iterate. It's the same I think with the map. Yeah, so let's try cost. So array.map. So I'm mapping through the array, and for each item, we just want to return the square of the each of these. So item star item, like that. I think that one will return the square of each. Then I can be able to print it here. Console.log the new map. So that works. So 1, 4, 9, 16, and 16, 25, and that's 6. It's because it's squaring all these numbers. This other one, the second one here, it's specific for the filter function. Maybe if I do that one. So map and filter do return new arrays the moment you use them. So that you can just assign the new array generated into another variable or another constant, another variable, then you can use it when you want. So we have map, and also we have another one called reduce. So instead of us having like all these numbers here, we have 1, 2 up to 6, and we want to add all of them together, we could have said use map, and maybe instead of returning, I don't want to return at this particular point, I just want like to map through the numbers and get the total. So if you want to get the total of such an array, then it's good you use another method called reduce. So I'm just going to say new reduce here, or best array reduce. So what this method does is that array dot reduce. So this method, you can say it's saying it takes in a callback function and the initial value, such like that. So the reduce method, I can say here the item, and this will be the method. So just say item plus item plus 0. I need to reduce to add to this. Let me just look at it. A function accepts 4 arguments. The reduce method calls the callback function one time for each element in the array. Initial value. The initial value specified is used as the initial value to start the accumulation. The first call to the callback function provides the new value as argument instead of the array value. So do that. The current value, current total, the current index, and we have the array. Then I can be able to take the current total and say current total plus item. So we start at 0. So the current total will be 0. Then I can be able to add the current total plus item, and the new value will be assigned to the current total. So if I say array reduce here, then we get the total of 1 to 6, that is 21. So each method has different return values. So reduce is like returning, for example, in this case, I'm using it to return the total of the array. Map will return a new array if you will modify the array, but it will just return the new modified array. And the filter will do the same, it will return a new array. Like it will return the return type of filter will be an array. So as we started, I said functions have different return values. Some return, others don't return. For example, array.forEach, this one returns nothing, I think. So yeah, this one is a void function. It returns nothing. But filter method is a method that returns something. You can say it's saying it's returning unknown. This tag with something even that you can't read through. So each method has different values that it returns. Yeah. So, and for your answer, why did you use here filter? Filter will help us quickly like filter out those items that don't match. Yeah, that's what I can say. So then we can print them to the document. Right. Any question about filter or any question about arrays? About what we have talked with arrays, reduce, filter, map. So those methods you can only maybe understand the yes. So where maybe come up again, why are we supposed to use or not use? Or where are we not supposed to use? So arrays are used when you have a list of things that you want them to be together. So for example, let's say you have a website. This is random. So let's say you have a website that has users. So call them website users. You could say, I want to take all my website users here. So each user, I can say the name of the user is maybe, let's say, Dalmaso Gembo. The phone number can be something else. Phone underscore number will be maybe a string, or you could choose to use a number specifically. But good if you use a string so that you can take care of the 254 or any other country code. So you have that. Then you have other things like email, that is email.com. So when you have like a list of similar data or data that is similar, for example, users in this case is similar, so that they can have the second user here, just below the first user. I'm separating each user by a comma. So I say this is the second user, second user. Same to do with third user, fourth user, and any given number of users. So you have all these users and you say you want to like maybe manage them. It's better you use an array instead of using any other kind of data type. This is more of like not a best example, but it's a working example. So let's say you want to print all these users to the document, then you can say use an array and iterate through the array to print them to the document. What about greater than signs, equal signs, and such kind of stuff? So equal signs can be used with strings, specifically strings and the numbers, but greater than signs can only be used with numbers. And in this case, I couldn't say like use greater than or anywhere. I only needed to make sure that these strings don't match. That's I think when we are talking about comparison operators or the so-called, yeah, there are comparison operators. There are very many. That's the inequality operators, equality. We have the greater than, less than, all those kind of uh, operators. So yeah, so I don't know whether I've answered your question, but greater than signs can only be used with numbers, and equal signs can only be used with strings and numbers. And arrays are good when you have a list of items that you want to take care of. Maybe you have a cat, so const cat equals to this cat contains different products. For example, the first will be the product name, maybe product one. You have the ID of that specific product, maybe one, and you have maybe another thing like the the price, maybe 230, and maybe you have something like the quantity of that product in the cart, maybe 5 of these product ones. And maybe one more thing is an image, maybe you have an image URL here. So when you have a cart, then it's good you use an array to keep track of your cart, and use a number of functions here in JavaScript to make sure that once somebody adds something to the cart, they can be able to update the cart uh, automatically or incrementally. Then once your carts may be added with all these kind of products, then you can go ahead and say, I want to get the cart total. So const cart total all equals to, you say cart. So cart dot, now you use the reduce function to make sure that you reduce. So item current total, then you say item dot price, item dot quantity, that's qty. So these are together. You need to make sure that they are together like that. You need to add the closing bracket like that, and plus the current total. And again, we will start with the 0 as our current total. Now that you have this, then you can say, okay, you can be able to say console.log the cat total like that, and say the cat total will be cat total like that. So that's where you specifically use arrays. Cat total here is saying none on object. I believe I got it wrong, or I need to start with the current total, reduce uh, item price with the quantity. Yeah, that was good. With the current total and start at 0. Yeah, problems plus problems bring a lot of problems. Let me just debug this. Cat dot reduce. Why is it not working? Current index is an array. Current total is also another thing. Nope, this shouldn't have been kwani ilianza na nini? Oh, item number. This the item and this are not. I think I got things wrong, guys. Let me just quickly confirm that one. And then array reduce, so that I eliminate any doubts they have. Array accumulator current value, initial value. Okay, there's something else. Accumulator current value. What's the current value in this specific point? Okay, all right. Yeah, accumulator with the current value. So the first explanation I think I gave was wrong. So the first one is the current total now, and the second one is the item itself. I believe this one should help us solve the error. Yeah, that's going to read for 600 shillings. So the first item is the total, or the accumulator as they have called it, and this is the current, or the current item, or the current value. Then this is the initial value. 0 is the initial value, of course. So you could do that, or you could move this initial value somewhere else, then you can use it. Anyways, so reduce will help us calculate the cat total. So that's how you do your symbol cat in a symbol cat using your JavaScript. Anyways, if so, I don't know whether I've answered your question about arrays and greater than and less than signs. Also, instead of just maybe doing this at this particular point, you could extend this one and say instead of returning at that particular point, just go ahead and if item.qty is greater than 5, that's when you are going to return this. So that's where I have used the greater than sign. So let me just maybe do 6 here, and the rest will remain as 4, 5, and 5. So we just make sure to get a value that is to 30x 6. That's about 0, 8, and 1380 shillings. So that's what we expect. So if we do that, we get none because things are not working the way they should. If this return that, then why is it not working? Should I say return actually at that this particular point just return the current total? Yes, now we get 1380. So just only return if the quantity is greater than 5, calculate the current total. Otherwise, just return the current total. Otherwise, return the item price times the quantity with the current total. So that's how you use arrays, and where you use the signs. So use this greater than signs and less than signs with numbers only. Don't use them with comparing strings. It's not a good idea. I believe I've answered your question, John. So I'll just comment out these ones. So if you get access to this file, maybe in the near future, you can be able to see what's happening. Anyways, so that's about arrays. Mhm. They can say our app currently is to that point. We can say it's working, except now a few things to change on here. The first one is the moment I select a new list, I want to activate the alt tab. So let's do that. We have activate active list, and we have unset set active list. We have something to do with tabs, I believe, a function activate a tab. So the moment I add a new a new or the moment I select a list, I want to be able to here I want to set the active tab, and the active tab to be tab 1, and I'm going to call this dot activate tab 1. So you say that add, it activates the first tab, that's the on tab. The next thing is that the moment I add a new list like this, I want to have the active list here being selected since we have one active. Then how to achieve that is that I just go say set active list. Where do we add a new add list? Here. Where we add a list, then I'm just going to say this dot set active list based on the active list index. This dot active list index. Active list index. So let's see how this function works. I need to make sure that this list actually exists before we try, this index exists before we try to use it. And I realize we have some function that can help us quickly do that. So that is this one here. Or is it print lists or print to do's? Print to do's to doc. Where was that function? There was some function we were using everywhere. Is it this one? Yes, I believe. So we can use this function here to make sure that we have an active list the moment we do that. So just return. Yes, yes. Uh, so here I'm activating a list while what am I activating? Tab 1. I don't want to activate tab 1 when we don't have any active list index selected. So if there's no active list index, so if this dot active list index equals to null, um, Actually, I might do the opposite here, remove that one there. So add a new list, yes, till I select it, then select that one. So yeah, so currently with this application, most of the stuff or most of the part it's taken care of. Maybe the next part about, let me just refresh this page so that you can start afresh and I explain what I want to say. So let's say we have Instagram, YouTube, Instagram lists, AMA tasks, let's say project X tasks, project X tasks like that. So let's say we have these three lists and each list has its own own tasks. Like YouTube has those three, Instagram maybe has those. So that's for Instagram, and the project X has its own tasks like those. So let's say you exited the browser and came back. So currently we don't have any complete, and let's say Instagram, you said this one should be done. Is it really working? Yeah. Oh, actually we are in the all tab. That's why it's not. Say that one is done. It's there. Let's go to YouTube. Let's say this one is done. Of course, there it is. Let's go to project X, go to the complete tasks and say this one is done and this one is done. Then you realize, yes, we have all these our tasks and we can be able to say, oh, I have done this task. So the problem comes here when you are looking at your project and you realize then the moment I added these tasks, yes, they were added, but if I refresh the browser, they are all gone. So this one is going to take us to the next step. That's how we learn JavaScript. How can I be able to persist or make my list or my tasks remain the moment I refresh the browser? And since our time isn't on our side, we can't achieve that one today, though it's not a tough thing. If you have time and if you believe we can continue, you can say we finish on this application so that you can have a complete thing to work on. But if time isn't on your side, then I prefer we take it to another day so that you can look into that section on its own separately tomorrow with other things. So I have YouTube here and I have all my tasks here. So let's say task 1, and let's add another task, task 2 and task 3. So one thing we can do here is make sure that the moment a task is marked as done, it should like show us it's done by the look of things by default, or maybe hide even the done button. So let's work on that with this remaining time so that the next part of persisting this information to us given or to the browser can be done tomorrow. So we want to hide the done button if we don't have the given or the item is not done. So const done, okay, means string is complete equals to do item dot is complete. Now that we have is complete, we are just going to check on the buttons to render. So I'm going to say let buttons equals to just an empty string. If is complete, then kama iko complete, then buttons plus equals. So I'm just going to copy this button here. Actually, it's the delete button like that. So what's not happening? Yes. If it's complete, just add this button there. Otherwise, let's move this one else. So just show the two buttons. So buttons plus equals to this other button, the first one, this one, And why can't I like maybe move these buttons to their own? Yes. So we have delete button, and also let's do another button that is mark as complete or the done button. That is this one here. So we just move this one up and place it there. So I have my two buttons, so I can say buttons just do only the delete button, and at this particular point do both the buttons, do the done button and also the delete one. So let's see what we have. So let's say YouTube here, add that list, select it, a new task, and say another task like task one. So let's mark this one as complete. No button is showing because we needed to render the buttons too here. So dollar sign, enter the buttons like that. So I have to start again. YouTube, select YouTube, and let's say task, and let's say another task, and let's say another task. So if I hover over task one, click on done, it's only going to remain with the delete button, and the two others will remain with the delete and done. So that we can be able to see, okay, at this particular point, if I hover on this, I can be able to see the different things. So that's how you do it to show which ones are complete, and so that you don't show the delete button on a complete task. Anybody with a question? Okay, so if there's no another question, let's do one more thing to show, actually now show that this task is done by marking it as in a red color. So, or this item is done. So you see this paragraph here, we are going to say add another class here, and let's say dollar sign like that. If is complete equals to true, this is something new. If it's true, then return complete. Else, if it's not true, it return a different class that is not complete. So how do we use these classes? So I'm just going to say take the complete class from here and go to my style.css. Just find somewhere I can add it, definitely at the end here, say dot complete. And if this one is complete, just change the color to red and force it. Is it the force? Let's have it red. So I say YouTube, I select that one, add a task, and another one. So come here, click done. So that one is going to be, the color is going to change to red. So done, meaning these to dos have already been done. I don't know. Is anybody having a question about that one? Niko peke yangu huku ama tuko na watu fulani? Right. Nashindwa mko silent. Silent. Ni vile, okay. So actually it has been a long journey to do this application. Na ukiangalia based on the class itself, we have like 4 videos of it alone, and at least each of them has at least 1 hour. So actually zinakuanga 1 hour that minutes. So 1 hour that minutes, that's 90 minutes x 4, that's 360 minutes, several hours. Okay, okay, this is the secret. If you were to redo this application, let me just be acha nicheze hapa save since we are done.